I'm Sarah Sutherland.
I'm Lowe Sutherland.
We bought our house back in the fall of '07, and through a friend of my husband's, he had a friend that said, "Oh, I was a paper boy on your street during the war, and when I was delivering the papers, I saw that they arrested a German spy in the house that you just bought." Someone else said the same thing to us. They said, "He had a ham radio in your attic." I wanted to know if our house had an actual German spy in it.
I'm Laura Ellis, and today on Curious Louisville, we're looking for an answer.
So I did go online, Wikipedia, and I do know that there was a plot involved 8 people, some Germans, some German Americans. I did look at some of the names and couldn't really tie any of them to our house.
My name is Joe Sonka, and I'm a state government enterprise reporter here at Louisville Public Media. Hello!
Welcome to the way we live.
Is this the attic?
There is an attic there. There's no window or anything. It's very small.
Didn't find any old ham radios up here, did you?
No.
What drew you to want to answer this question?
Well, I used to live on the same block of the same street in Germantown. That's where I lived when I got married. That's where I lived when my daughter was born. And we had a lot of good times there, and I have good memories of that part of Germantown. And secondly, the only books I really read are history books. And over the past couple of years, I read a book and listened to a few podcasts of Rachel Maddow, which talked about the pro-Hitler, pro-Nazi movement in America before World War II, during World War II, and after World War II. And that was very, very fascinating. So when I saw your question about a German spy, that caught my attention right away.
Joe started with the plot Sarah had read about on Wikipedia.
Operation Pistorius. We had 8 Germans who used to live in America. They came over in submarines, and they were supposed to go around the country with explosives, blowing up infrastructure, blowing up factories. And one of the targets they were supposed to blow up were the locks on the Ohio River by Louisville.
But they didn't live in Sarah's house. They actually never even made it to Louisville. It sounds like they were really pretty bad at their jobs.
It was a comedy of errors. 2 people defected almost immediately to the FBI and ratted out the other 6. Those 6 were executed very quickly.
So that was a dead end, so to speak. And since this is a question about Louisville history, you might be able to guess where we're heading next.
I contacted Tom Owen at the University of Louisville. He's kind of the official historian of Louisville.
I swear we could rename this series Curious Tom Owen. He told Joe he's heard rumors of a Nazi spy living in Louisville during World War II for years. But he could never find anything when he went down that rabbit hole. Until
he said, well, just 3 minutes ago, I typed in that address that you gave me, and this is what he found. So this is an article in the Courier Journal from October 27th, 1944. Postal clerk gets 10-year term for reading serviceman's mail. German data found in home. Eblin W. Alpiger, 49 of...
That would be the Sutherlands address. We bleeped it out for privacy.
In whose home postal inspectors found pictures of Adolf Hitler, a card explaining the German swastika, German pamphlets, 2 letters bearing Japanese postmarks. Assistant U.S. District Attorney J. Dudley Inman said it is reasonable to believe that information gleaned from these letters was passed on to others outside the United States. Inman told the court as he recommended a sentence of 3 years. Now, this is how Judge Miller reacted to that. Judge Miller said, "This looks like a very serious offense against the United States. It is not often that I have considered a recommendation of the district attorney too light."
Another Courier Journal article around 4 months later said Alpiger asked the judge to reduce his sentence. The judge said no, pointing to a letter Alpiger had written years before.
The letter was written in 1937 to customs authorities in Rottenburg, Hanover, Germany. Inman read the following excerpt. "I have always and still do say Heil Hitler with pleasure, even though the movement is being criticized here."
Joe found records that Alpiger himself was of German-Swiss descent, but was born in America. His wife was a German immigrant. And this guy made the paper a lot. A few years earlier, in 1939, he was part of an article asking Louisvillians of German descent how they felt about Adolf Hitler.
And the headline here is, "They See Germany's Side." And one of the quotes here is, again, from E.W. Alpiger of the same address. And I'll just read you what he was quoted as saying. "The idea that Hitler ought to be stopped before he gets too much power in Europe is a lot of nonsense."
Probably not surprisingly, the FBI also had an investigative file on this postal clerk who lived in Sarah and Lowe's house, which the judge also referenced when denying his request for a sentence reduction.
Unfortunately, those records were destroyed at some point.
Records from the 1950 census show Alpiger in a federal prison in Michigan.
That is literally the last public record I can find of him until he died in 1983 in Louisville, and he's buried in a cemetery here.
So essentially, the story is sort of true, and also, how would you summarize this whole thing, I guess?
Yeah, I would say there was definitely a person who lived in your house during World War II who was a big fan of Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany. And in 1944, he was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for going through the mail of members of the military. And the judge gave him a maximum sentence because it sounds like he was suspecting him of doing so for Nazi Germany and perhaps trying to transmit information back. He was not convicted of that, but the judge had his suspicions.
What a stupid way to waste your life.
Thank you for your painstaking research into this. It's fabulous what you've done.
This was fun.
Great fun.
I was never able to hunt Nazis before.
I'm still calling it the spy house.
The question for this episode came from Sarah and Lowe Sutherland. Reporting was by Joe Sonka, and we had additional help from Giselle Roden. If you have a question about our community, you can ask that at curiouslouisville.org. I'm Laura Ellis. Thanks for listening to Curious Louisville.